And this is the manicure hand-painted shop sign that was in a ghetto shop window of Chana Bronstein, and it said the same below in Yiddish. I made it into a mixed media piece, including the picture frame, which I hand-painted. And above it is the drawing I did of Mordecai Analevitz. He was the commander, leader of the Jewish fighting organizations in the ghetto. Died at age 23 at Mila 18, the site, of course, which was made very famous in the book Mila 18, in 1960 or late 50s. While I was working on this piece in the spring of '94, I was taking care of 2 cockatiels for someone, and they gave birth. And of course, with all the wings on all the drawings and the wings on Mordecai, the hero, I thought, why not draw the baby cockatiels? We'll see if we can move in a bit closer here. They were a lot of fun, and again we get the symbolism from death to birth. Life continues. The Jewish people will continue. There's the mama feeding the baby. Mama's upside down. Moving around, there's another view of her. And the kids again. Whole view in here. Most recent piece I did, it began in September. It's about a quarter of the way finished now. It intrigued me. And of course, when she's finished, the figurative part, it's quite large. She'll have wings drawn coming up from her shoulders as well. Let's see if we can move in here. Get back so you can get an idea of how large the wall, which is probably about at least 7 or 8 feet high. Some of the drawings at one wall. A watercolor I did of a menorah which is housed in the old synagogue in Krakow in the Jewish quarter there. It's in a display case. You get a, oops, sorry about menorah, 20th century, no, pre-Holocaust of course, Hanukkah menorah. A silver 19th century menorah, which is also in the same synagogue, turned into a museum during the communist years, and I hand-painted the frame based on images mainly that are on the cover of the prayer book printed in Jerusalem I got for my bar mitzvah in 1863. And this is the piece I did at the Jewish cemetery in Corfu in northwest Greece, which I visited in fall of 1985. You see, I painted the mat and drew on it and carved into the frame and inset objects honored her in it and so on. The hand holding the knife is from the gravestone of the Nisqually family. There were 2 brothers buried there. They both died before the Holocaust. a 7 by 10 foot watercolor painting called A History of Jewish Writing from the Ten Commandments of the 20th century. In the lower right quadrant here we have something I took from a flyer announcing a mammoth mass meeting from 1915 at Yesser and East 1st Street, which is actually where friends of mine perform nowadays, 80-something years later. It's a performance hall. And the flyer was in Yiddish. I got it at the University of Washington Library Jewish Archives section. The portion I used is on the bottom. It says, "This mass meeting is of the greatest importance to the Jewish men and women of the city, and will be recorded in the Golden Book of Seattle Jewish History as one of its greatest events." Above it, it says, the meeting will be held Sunday night, February 14th, 1915. The meeting will be addressed by the famous orator Rabbi Baruch Shapiro. The kosher meat question being settled, the next most important matter will be Talmud Torah. The lower left quadrant, I have the Partisan and Lied, the partisan song sung by Jewish partisans, valiantly and heroically, courageously, fighting in the forests and woods of Poland and Ukraine and Lithuania, Russia, and so on against the Nazi monsters. Above it, in the center there, we have some Aramaic and Judeo-Arabic taken from different Jewish art history books housed in different collections in Israel and London and France and so on. Some friends have described these sections like that as being dancing letters, which certainly has a lot of fascinating aspects to it in terms of letters in Hebrew and all their various meanings. Looking towards the top there, we have Shalom in the very upper right. If I Were a Rothschild is there, which is the Yiddish version of If I Were a Rich Man. Took from a Yiddish greatest hits record. And here we have the 10 Commandments in the center. See if I can get back for an overview of it. Here we have a piece I began in Poland, my first trip there, summer of '84, drawing hayfields down in Ritro, which is in the Tatra Mountains by the Czech border, or the village. Later on in the winter of '84, '85, before I went back to Poland in the summer of '85, I made it into a large mixed media piece called Homage to Pawiak Prison. Pawiak Prison was a notorious prison built in the mid-1800s. It was blown up by the Gestapo in 1942, I believe. And over its sad 100-year history, many Polish Jews were murdered in it. The figures, the heads on the left section there, are Jews who were murdered between the wars. And this is the piece called L.A. Sin, which I also began between trips to Poland, 1984 and 1985. All the writing on it was done in 1987. The railroad spikes were added actually in 1991-92 after its return from a national tour of Canada in the International Exhibition Against Racism.